I hope you're okay. So your learning challenge for science is whether you can identify and describe the functions of different flowering plants. So this is looking at stuff like the roots, the stem or the trunk, depending on what sort of plant you're looking at, or if it's a plant, if it's a tree, leaves and the flower itself, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through all of those different things, the different jobs that they do, and then I've got a few challenges for you guys to have a go at. So, I've got my lovely orchid here. Doesn't fit in the camera very well. So I'm going to use this to show you all the different parts, okay? So first we're going to look at the leaves. My orchid only has one leaf because it's still growing. It's just starting to grow again. So the leaves make food for the plant. So they take the carbon dioxide from the air. So obviously we breathe out carbon dioxide and we breathe in oxygen. So all the carbon dioxide that we breathe out is taken in by the plant. So it takes in the carbon dioxide from the air and it also takes in the sunlight and it makes food for the plant. So the leaves are there to create food for the plant. So they take the carbon dioxide, they take all the sunlight, and then they make food for the plant. Next we've got the roots. So if you can see mine just there, with orchids it's quite good because you can see the roots very well. They tend to grow quite big. So the roots absorb mineral and water from the soil. So obviously when you water your plant, the roots take all of that water up and they absorb all the minerals that are in your soil and all the water from the soil to help the plant grow. Because obviously if you don't water your plant, it doesn't grow. So one of the jobs of the roots is to take all of that all the nutrients, all the minerals from the soil and all the water that you give it to help the plant grow. It also has another job. The roots also help anchor the plant into the soil and keep it upright. So as you might be able to see just there. So my orchid has lots and lots of very big roots. It's because it's a very big, tall plant, so it has to have strong roots to anchor it into the soil to stop it falling over, essentially. Next, we've got the stem. So my orchid actually has two stems. It's these things here. There are also bits of wood holding it up because obviously the stems are so long. So I've got one stem just there and another one just here. So the stem transports all of the water that's given through the soil, comes in through the roots. The stem's job is to transport all of that water around the plant, obviously to help it grow. So the roots take in that water, and then the job of the stem is to distribute that water all around the plant to help it grow. And again, a bit like the roots, its job is to also keep the plant upright, to keep the flowers upright so that they can get higher up towards the sun and get more sunlight. Because obviously without sunlight they won't grow. So the stem has two jobs. It transports the water around the plant and it helps it stay upright and grow taller to get more sunlight. Now we are going to look at the flower. So my orchid, let's turn around that way, that might help. My orchid has two flowers at the minute, and then you see it's got lots of different buds growing on it where flowers are eventually going to grow. But it's only just started to bloom, so there are only two flowers at the minute. And there are two different parts of the flower itself. You've got the petal, and then you've got the other bit just inside that we're going to talk about in a minute. But first, we're going to look at the petal. So the petal's job is to attract the insects to the plant. So that's why they're always quite bright, they're quite colourful. It's to attract insects to the plant, because the plant needs insects to bring in pollen that they've collected from other flowers so that they can make seeds. So if you think about in the summer when you see loads and loads of bees around and they're all going in and out of different flowers, they're taking pollen from one flower and they are carrying it to another one and they are distributing it so other flowers so that they can all make seeds and carry on growing and carry on spreading. So they need to be bright and colourful to attract these insects, otherwise they won't continue to grow. So without the leaves, without the petals, should I say, without the petals, insects won't be attracted to the plant and it won't be able to continue spreading. So that's the petals. So they're to attract the insects. And then you've got a bit just in the middle, just there. And that bit is called the anther. So the anther is the part where all of the pollen is stored. So like I was saying, the bees come from one plant to another, and they'll come to the plant, they'll be attracted by the petals, and they'll go straight into the middle part, which is called the anther, where all the pollen is stored, okay? So once an insect flies into the petals, ends up in the anther, it brushes all of the pollen onto the insects when they land in the flower. So the bee comes, it will be attracted by the petals, it will land inside the flower, into the anther. Sometimes if you look at other plants, they're like little tiny stick things that are sticking up, and they're really clear on some other plants, like dandelions and stuff like that. You'll see it in the middle. That part's the anther. So the insects come along, they'll land in that bit, and all of the pollen, which is stored just inside there, brushes off onto the insects when they land in the flower. And it's moved then by the insects to other flowers. So we've looked at the roots, we've looked at the leaves, we've looked at the stem, and we have looked at the two different parts of the flower itself, okay? So you have one job to do and two challenges if you fancy them, okay? So your job to do, in your home learning pack, you should have a sheet that looks a little bit like this one, okay? So you've got your picture of a bulrush in the middle. So these are bulrushes, and they grow in the River Nile. So what you need to do is you need to cut out and stick this picture into your topic box, and then you need to label all of the different parts that we've just spoke about. So the roots, the stem, the leaves, and the flowers, okay? And then I want you to have a go at explaining the jobs that these different parts of the flower do, okay? So the different functions. And have a think if you can explain your findings in different ways. So rather than just saying, well, Mrs. L said this, so I'm going to write it down word for word, have a think and see if there's any better way that you can describe the different functions of these parts of the flower. So that's your first job. And then you have two challenges. First challenge is to find someone in your house and to explain to them and describe to them all of the different parts that we've spoken about and their functions, okay? So you can test them, see if they know what any of them are, and you can explain to them all of the things that you've learned. So explain the jobs of all of them things, where you find all of them things, and why we have them in the first place. So why does a plant or a flower have a stem? Why does it have roots? Because we know that they've got jobs, but why do they have them? What's the point? And then another challenge for you is, if you're feeling really clever and you think, I know this, I've got my head around plants now, I know the different functions, I need something a bit harder, you can have a go at finding and classifying different plants that grow and thrive around the river's edge, okay? So a bit like the bulrush that grows in the River Nile, I want you to have a go and see if you can research different plants and flowers that grow around the riverbed and that thrive there. So have a research, see what you can find, and see if you can have a go at classifying them in some way. Good luck, guys!